Jay Gauthier, and he will be presenting his first speech in a 6-part series on changing your life in 90 days. And here's a little information about Jay. Jay is a financial advisor who is trained and currently oversees over 70 advisors in his Transamerica business. He has been in ministry for over 28 years and has led the First Baptist Church of El Monte as lead pastor since 1991. He also was the head varsity girls basketball coach at Rosemead High School for 12 years, where he won 10 league titles and is the most successful coach in that school's history for any sport. His greatest passion is public speaking and motivating others to fulfill their God-given potential. Everybody please give Mr. Gauthier a round of applause and a standing ovation as he presents Changing Your Life in 90 Days. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. How's everyone doing tonight?
Great.
Haven't we had a great night so far? It's been really great. And I must say, just like Bill was mentioning earlier, it's all going to fit together here. Actually, when Bill was talking earlier, it's like, Bill, you're taking everything I've got. You're taking it. And it just fits in perfectly, and what Jeff shared as well. Wow, it's an interesting day today. Anyone have anything crazy happen to you today? My day started really early. I was actually on my way to my office in San Dimas. How many of you are familiar with San Dimas? Are you familiar with San Dimas? Some very strange things happen in San Dimas. I mean, there's horse properties there. There's all kinds of different things happening. And so I was driving to the office this morning, and I'm always on the lookout for things. And so I'm looking off in the future, right up there to my right, and I'm thinking, there's a guy up there walking the strangest looking dog I've ever seen in my life. And so as I'm driving and I'm getting closer, I'm taking a look and I'm thinking, that's not a dog. So I look close and this guy is walking, literally he's walking his pig on a leash. Can you believe that? His pig. I thought, now that's out of the ordinary, and I'm trained, one of the things that I train other people to do, and you mentioned shyness tonight. Let me just say this, I was one of the shyest people you'd ever want to meet in your life. And so I had to overcome that, because if I was going to be that way for life, obviously I wasn't going to be able to do what I wanted to do. So it's something that I need to work on as well, and inside I'm still a very shy person. So we train people, hey, find ways to make conversations. Well, what better way to make a conversation? You see a guy walking a pig on a leash, right? So instead of driving past him, I'm thinking, I've got to pull up, roll down the window, and ask. So I said, hey, how are you doing? He goes, pretty good. I said, sir, I don't mean to bother you, but would you mind if I ask you a question? Hopefully you won't take this too personal. He said, what is it? I said, I couldn't help but notice your pig. And what I didn't mention to you is as I looked closer to this pig had 3 normal legs and 1 wooden leg. Very unusual. I said, I can't help but just beg the question, how did your pig get the wooden leg? And he said, oh, I'm so glad you asked. He says, this pig is very special. In fact, if it wasn't for this pig, it's very possible that my wife and my children would not be alive today. I said, you're kidding. How is that so? He said, well, let me tell you. He says, about a year ago, at my house, I have a 2-story house, my wife and my children were up in an upper bedroom when suddenly a fire breaks out. And all of a sudden they're stuck up there, the fire's underneath, they don't know how to get out. The pig is in the yard. The pig hears the screams, smells the smoke, and there's a ladder that's up against the house a little further down. So this pig, he goes and starts bumping the ladder down the house until it gets to the window and my wife and children are able to escape to safety. Good Lord. I'm thinking, wow, that is some pig. Very incredible story, right? He said, but that's not all. He says that about 6 months later, my 2-year-old somehow got out of the house when we weren't looking, falls in the pool. All of a sudden, from inside the household, we hear a splash, and we look outside, and the pig has jumped in the pool, has my daughter, is pulling her out of the pool, gives her snout to mouth, and revives her. I'm thinking, come on, man, snout to mouth, I'm not going to believe that. You're obviously telling me a story. He says, no, I'm serious. I said, look, even if that was true, even if it was, you didn't answer my question. He says, what do you mean? I said, how did the pig get the wooden leg? He says, come on, didn't you listen to a word that I said? When you have a pig that's this special, that's done this many things for your family, that you owe the literal life of your wife and children, you don't want to eat him all at once. Right? All right. Hopefully you at least believed me in the beginning. I'm sure after a while you figured I was telling a story. But I say that to tell you this. We all tell ourselves stories. And in this 90-day transformation that we're going to go, and we have this spread out, so it'll be about 90 days when this series finishes. In this 90-day transformation to a new you, how many of you have heard before about a 90-day transformation? This is something that you hear. Weight loss companies use it. And they say that, I was in this program about a year and a half ago called Body by Vi. You ever heard of that one? I decided to take that. I lost some weight. I'll tell you why I lost weight. Because I just didn't eat. Because I wanted to sell it. So I was going to make sure I didn't gain anything. So yeah, I lost like 40 pounds having 2 shakes a day and running like I've never run before and not eating hardly anything for dinner. And then my son tells me now I switched to the Body by Pi diet because now I'm, back to where I was. So why did that change? They said they have you take a 90-day transformation challenge. And their idea is that in 90 days, if you do anything for 90 days, it will become a habit and it will change your life. How many of you found that's not true, depending on where your mind is? Because when it comes to a diet, for instance, which many of us have tried diets, correct? They tell you, well, what this is going to be is you're going to modify what you eat. And have you ever heard this phrase? And it's going to become a way of life. It's not just going to be the way you eat right now. This is going to be a way of living for the rest of your life. And in my head, I'm thinking, no, I see lemon meringue pie in my future. So I may modify my behavior for 90 days so I can get certain results, but the problem is I haven't really changed. I haven't really changed my thinking. And so I end up going back to be the way that I was before. How many of you have gone to seminar series before? Raise your hand. Anybody? Some of those that Jose was showing. Very impressive workshops, series. How many of you have paid at least $100 to go to some type of workshop or seminar or something before in your life? Many people have. And they're great, and I'm not knocking them. But I will tell you this. You can pay $1,000, $5,000, and unless you're willing to actually change, it's just going to be a warm bath. That's all it's going to be. And I can sit here tonight and I can tell you that I'll help you with a transformation to a new you in the next 90 days, but without your cooperation, that's not going to happen. There has to be a willingness on your part, and to do that, you have to change your stories. As a basketball coach for 12 years, 10 out of those 12 years we won league championship. Prior to going there, I had no coaching experience. Also, prior to going there, they had not won a league championship in 21 years. And they haven't won one since I left either. In fact, they've come dead last. That must mean that I was just born to be a basketball coach. I was so good with the X's and O's. I was such an awesome player. Are you kidding? I can't even jump that high. I could never shoot when somebody guarded me. And I was able to get players to do things that I never could do. And they were able to win over and over again. Just recently I was asked, well, how did you do that? You must have always had the most talented players in the league. You must have got the best players to be on your team that were obviously so much better than all the other teams. And my answer to them was, not really. But there's one thing that we did. They believed they were the best team. They didn't want to become champions. We got them to believe they already were. We got them to actually believe they were better. We got them to actually believe they would win and that they could refuse to lose. And there were other times when we would play teams, because a lot of those seasons were undefeated in league, and teams had us. They had us beat. And you know what? We beat them every time. You know why? It wasn't even so much that we beat them. It's that they beat themselves. Because when they would get to the point where they might be able to beat us and they might be able to win, they didn't believe deep down inside that they actually would win. And they'd always blow it. They'd always self-destruct. And so it was more of a mental toughness. It was a mental belief. Now, here's my question to you tonight. What is it that you're wanting to accomplish in your life? We've heard some of these things tonight, correct? For instance, over here, we heard about wanting to become a motivational speaker, wanting to be able to go and he used the word, did you hear that word, manifest? That's a very good business word, Tony Robbins' word. In other words, to manifest is to bring something into existence that is not currently there. Correct? When he stood up and told you what he wanted to do you think, from the impression that you got from him, do you think he believes he can do it? I got that impression. And if he keeps that up and he keeps developing like he is, I have no doubt that he'll be able to do it. Because why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? When he was born, did the doctor, slap him to make him cry and say, this one won't be a motivational speaker, but this one over here will? Where does that determination come from? That comes from the determination of what you decide. Sure, there's talents and there's things that some of us are naturally better than others. You mentioned being a shy person. When we're a shy person, for years I didn't want to go up. I would stand like a wallflower on the side of the room. You tell me to go up and say, to start up a conversation with somebody? And I'd be terrified because in my mind, I had the belief that if I went up and I started talking to someone, they would look at me like, why are you talking to me? Or they would give me some type of reaction. And so I already had that belief, so I wouldn't do it. Until one day somebody told me, if you go to people with confidence, approach them, hold your hand out, shake hands, introduce yourself, and start making conversation, 99 times out of 100, they're more scared of you than you are of them, and they'll respond to you. And so I decided to start trying that out. And even though I was scared to death to do it, I just did it. So as we go along here, and I know I don't have too much more time tonight, but this is what I want you to do. In this 90-day transformation, if you're going to do it, if you're going to come back for the other sessions, if you're going to really be serious, understand this. You have to identify right now what you're transforming to. You need to get that picture in your mind. And to make it easy for you, we're going to train the mind. Bill will like this. And I think he'll agree. We're going to train the mind and we're going to take all the pressure off. All the pressure off. You are going to decide who it is that you want to be, what it is you want to be better at than where you are right now. And you're going to create that you as a character in your mind. You're going to create that you. And then, this is all you got to do. You just got to be a really good actor or actress, and you got to learn the role. You're just going to play a role. That's all you're going to do. You're going to play a role. I'll give you an example. My son, who works with me, when I started with Transamerica, he came into business with me 2 days later. He was a 21-year-old punk. And he'll hear this recording later, so it's okay. He knows it. He was 2 snake bite earrings in his lip with a funky little haircut, tattoos all over his arms, and wearing little tight little skinny jeans with his little studded belt. It's like, what happened to you? Okay, he had gone through the fire department. He was gonna, he was gonna do that. There were no jobs. And then he went into business with me. So we start going out there, and we're having to just like, we have no business, we have no customers, we have nothing, and we're having to just like create a business. And I'd hear him, and we'd be out somewhere, Jack in the Box, shopping center, Walmart, wherever we were, and he'd just start striking up conversations with people. As simple as things like this. He'd be in J.C. Penney, and he'd be in like the sock department, and there'd be another guy walking through there, and he'd look and he'd go, are these dress socks or work socks? I'd be standing in the distance watching this like a stalker behind the ties. And he said, let me show you how to do this, Dad, because I was so shy. He goes, are these dress socks or work socks? And the guy starts, oh, you know what? I think those are dress socks. And they start having this whole conversation. Really? Hey, you live around here? What is it that you do? Oh, is this your wife? All of a sudden, there's this big thing. And then he gets his number. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding. Are these dress socks or work socks? It's supposed to be some profound thing. And then he would talk to people, and he would tell them things like, well, I'd really like to invite you. I have we did work in a large office, but we were very new to it. He says, here's a kid, he's 21 years old. He says, I have a large office down the street, a large financial office with a lot of brokers and people that work with me. It was all true, technically. He said, I'd like you to come in. I'll show you around. I'll sit down. I'll show you what I do. And then we'd walk away, and he'd act like a broker. And I'd walk away, and I'd look at him and go, you're such a liar. But he wasn't really lying. He was playing a role. In his mind, he said, you don't understand, Dad. He goes, that's who I am. I just don't have the title yet. Now he makes over $200,000 at age 26 in a year. Okay? And I'm not lying to you. Just doing, he created that role. He became that person. Now, it was easier for some people than others. Some people are just more naturally can fool themselves a lot more than that. Some of us are really realistic, and we tell ourselves all these stories about why we can't do this, and why we can't do that, and why nobody will listen to us, and why we can never overcome this fear. It's kind of like we want to lose the weight but eat the same way. That doesn't work. So even if it's a financial goal and you're trying to develop somewhere in your career, but here's the problem. You want somehow to be making more money but still be the same you. Well, the same you is getting you the money that you're making right now. And that's the result that you have. And I don't mean to be straight out, but you want the truth, right? You don't want a warm bath. You want something that's going to help you, correct? Trust me, I get told this kind of thing all the time, so I'm just conveying it to you. And this is how I train people all the time, so I'm just conveying it to you. Just making you feel good and patting you on the back and saying do better is not going to help you. You've got to understand that to get a different result, there needs to be a different you. You need to have a change of heart, a change of mindset. Same thing, he's talking about working with those young people. I mean, I was watching a YouTube video just last week of a young man who grew up in the projects of Chicago who was a millionaire at age 13 because he just refused. He was selling stuff, doing stuff at age 7. And by the age he was 18, he had actually sold 2 companies for over $1 million each. You can find him on YouTube. I forget his name. Oh, Farrah Gray, I think is his name. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Okay. Was he on Shark Tank as well? Okay. And so you look at that and you say, well, there's all kinds of reasons why. I mean, he could have been sitting there in the projects of Chicago as a little kid with disadvantages, living in poverty, saying, I'm just going to feel sorry for myself. And what you were saying earlier is, how you try to get something going and then everybody puts it down, and Bill is exactly right. The people, the adults that you're working with are so insecure and have settled themselves that they don't want to see those kids make something different because then they feel bad. They actually have to look, and then they realize there's no excuse for them never changing themselves. And so they try to hold everybody down, and that's what happens. Anybody from any situation, any cultural background, any economic, it doesn't matter. When you put your mind to doing something and you change, you can accomplish great things. So, as we finish this, although it looks like I have a little time, I'm watching that timer thing right there. She has done a fine job, by the way. She's done a good job. Okay. Write it down, draw it up, picture it right now. And then I'm going to repeat this to you again. You're going to take acting classes. I want you to start telling yourself every day, whatever it is, whoever you are, wherever you see yourself, whatever you see yourself doing, that's me. Now, as that person, how would I carry myself? How do I talk to people? How do I dress? How do I respond to situations? Where are the places that I go? What are the things that I read? What are the habits that I have? What does that form of me look like, act like, and live like? And then all you got to do is say, well, if I was going to audition for that part and I went to play the role, what would I say and what would I do? And start doing it. After a while, have you ever noticed this? Somebody who's played a role for a long time, and then they just can't get out of that thing, right? They even want to do different types of roles, and they're so typecast, stereocast in that. Like you have, my mom used to watch, what was it? All My Children or something like that, the old soap opera. And there was this lady who played Erica Kane or something. I don't know, maybe I'm dating myself now. But she played that role for like 30 years. It was hard for her to ever do anything else. And when people saw her, that's just who she was. And a lot of times when you see celebrities even that have played certain types of roles, it's very interesting because then when they're interviewed, often they're very much like that. Their personality, everything. I don't know if it was originally, but they start to literally become it. Now that could be bad, but it can be good. They say it's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy the right cat. Wow. Correct? So if you don't identify this and you don't start making a step towards this, I hope you come back because I don't like talking to the wall. I do like to talk to other people, but I will say you will be wasting your time if you don't take some steps. Learn associations. We'll go through all this in the series. Who you associate with, the different activities you do, the places you go. It all makes up who you are. So if you want to be this very successful person, and you decide, for instance, you're going to hang out at low-life clubs and things like that, hey, I'm not making a moral statement, but I'll tell you, you are who you hang with. And if that's what you're posting on Facebook, you want people to take you seriously in the business world, and there you are like plastered, falling out of your mind, and someone has to like, oh, I couldn't believe it the other night. Thank you so much for driving me home. I didn't even know where I was. That's probably not going to do real well for your business or whatever else you're doing. You got to grow up. I mean, there's just certain things that we have to do if we want to be taken seriously. So identify it and start moving towards it. And then in the next sessions, we'll go over how to practically implement many of these changes. Sound good? Fair enough? Good. All right, thank you very much. I guess we'll take questions at this point. Yes, sir.
Yes, I just want to make a comment because I almost started hollering and shouting about it ago, because what you're saying is also a goal that I had with working with the children.
Yes.
But just never was able to get it to that limit. Because if you act the thing out what I was gonna do was first get the kids some confidence in themselves with the Toastmasters, getting them how to speak.
Okay.
You know, get them some, so they can stand up in front of a crowd and express themselves and everything.
Yes.
Then I brought in a class for performing arts.
Okay.
Where they could get on stage and they start to dance and do different movements and things, and they feel confident about themselves. But then the next thing was going to be to get them on the stage and start acting out different roles, just like you're saying, you know. And I was going to go out to some of the roughest guys in town, and the gangbangers and stuff, some of the leaders.
Sure.
Somebody got a little clout. This is the God's truth. So I'm sitting here listening to you talk. But see, I never did get it to that stage because it would always be stopped before it get there. You know? Even in the performing arts part, or in the Toastmasters class. Jose was with me in part of this last construction of the class.
Right.
Man, and I'm going to be short because it's so short a time. And so I go to this gang member and tell him about, I said, look, I got something for you to do. You know, I know you don't like doing what you're doing and all that. He said, oh, brother, man, I sure don't. You know, I said, man, I want to change. I said, okay, I got something for you. I said, I'm going to explain it to you right now. I said, because I'm on a different level doing some other stuff, but it's going to lead to that. Because I believe the problem is, the solution is in the problem. This problem is in the solution. If you're the one out here doing the trouble, you're also the one that can fix it, you know.
Absolutely.
If a snake bites you, they get to get the same snake and get the poison out of it and inject some of that into you, and that helps heals you. So the same thing, the people out in the community that's causing all of this trouble can also be the same ones that turn it around. And all they have to do is start acting a different way and playing a certain role. Because you're playing a certain role anyway when you're doing all of this and acting all tough and everything.
Sure.
You're just playing a role. And I just want to say this. The Planet of the Apes, the monkeys, when they made that movie, The Planet of the Apes, whoever saw The Planet of the Apes?
Yeah, I saw that.
And they said, when they did a thing about how movie was made and they interviewed the characters in it, they said when they put that role on, they put that mask on, that monkey mask, the ape mask, he said that we literally became apes. We literally became apes, and then they played that role. So it's the same thing. And like you saying, in 90 days you can change, and you got some different ways to teach it, and the way to act out that role, and the next thing you know, they become that. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate that.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
What's the format of this 90-day program? Where is it being done? What does it cost? Is it going to be here in this Toastmaster?
Oh, yeah, it's just in here. No cost. We're just going to give you steps as we go every couple of weeks when we meet, and you're going to follow those steps.
Okay, so it's a free thing.
Free thing, absolutely, yeah. I'm not advertising anything.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll do it.
So at the end of the 90 days, right? We've mastered this character, or we have completely mastered it most of the time.
Well, you will obviously have to, it will depend a lot on you. How much did you really believe that you can be that person and change things? You have to have a change of heart on things as well. Like I mentioned on food, if you're still like, oh, as soon as I can, I'm just, you know. We're going to talk about changing how we feel about stuff probably next time. How we actually view things. Okay?
So you'll be talking every single day? Every single time we meet?
No. The next one is in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
Finish your question, go ahead.
So will we have to adjust the character at any point?
You might. Depends how clear it is in your mind right now. What may happen is you start to change, and then all of a sudden you start to believe, hey, I can do more than I even thought. And a lot of it, I'll give you a little preview, because I really differ from how some people teach things that I'm not going to criticize. But a lot of it is who you really believe you are. So I'll give you one quick example. Let's say you're an alcoholic, and you had trouble with alcohol, and you drink all the time, and you drink every day. I'm not going to criticize the 12-step program, but I personally don't believe that to really ever get over that, I'm going to go every week and tell myself, my name is Jay, and I'm an alcoholic. I'm constantly telling myself that I'm an alcoholic. No, I'm not. I may have a tendency towards that, and if I keep saying it, I'm going to keep telling myself that I will always have a problem. What I should be doing is seeing the damages that being an alcoholic does, seeing what it does to the body, seeing what it does to families, seeing what it does to people, see how it destroys lives, until the point that finally I'm so disgusted by it that I don't want to drink. I need to just change my attitude completely instead of just continually telling myself that that's what I am. And so that's a lot of the key. We'll go into that type of thing too. That's an example right there. Yes.
Because
Yes.
as a man thinketh, so is he.
Exactly.
And
I mean-
he continues to think, so he remains.
Yeah, so-
If he keeps telling himself that, that's what he's gonna stay as.
Exactly.
And a lot of these 7-step programs and these
Mhm.
things are supposed to get you cleaned up. They kind of want you to keep coming back. That recite, coming back. You go out, you think you're good, you're okay. Next thing you know, you're coming back because you keep admitting, I'm
Right.
an alcoholic and always will be. I'm just one day at a time. One of us slip and I'm back. They want you to say that, so you keep coming back. That's wrong.
And yeah, so
You keep confessing.
I got to change it to, I'm a man who once had problems with alcohol. But I'm not that man anymore, and I refuse to be that man.
May I ask you, so you are
Yes.
a reverend, you're a preacher, you said in the church?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. Have you ever heard of the Pastor Charles Capps?
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't. Probably should, but I haven't. No. Any other questions? Yes.
No, you were just on point, about, the philosophy that you were teaching, this team to think not just that they want to be champion, that you're already champion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really powerful. And, something that I could tell is actually, I remember when, at the beginning of our club, I mean, we were pretty much a paper. I mean, not even a paper. But I started saying, right, we are the club of the year. It's amazing. We started that big club. And at that time, there was no membership, nothing. It was just me.
Yep.
But I was saying, we are the club of the year. This is amazing. And that we chartered on June of 2014. By October, we met all the goals, that all 10 goals out of 10. The first club in the world. There are over 15,000 Toastmasters clubs. We were the first one who reached those 10 goals. We are the only club that has professional speakers where you can actually hear seminars like you saw tonight. The only club in the world. And that we do this not just once in a while, this been doing regularly. We are the first club with raffle. Our raffle model is the best in the district. At the beginning, we were actually criticized, for no reason. But I started saying we had the best raffles. Nowadays, you see all these raffle items here? Over 80% of the raffle for the district, so the district is the entire district. We are over 180 clubs. This past Saturday, it was at the SLS Beverly Hills Hotel. The majority of those gifts came from this club. And you know what the irony is? In the beginning, the kind of like the leaders of the district were kind of like criticizing us. But when you look at it, at the end of everything, the successful fundraiser came because of our club, because of our donors. They came to our club.
Right.
And this is just amazing. It's the power of belief. When we believe in something, and we actually the first president distinguished club in our area.
And
It's just to tell you, it's just.
It's very interesting that he brings that up, because early on, it's very small. I was here as well, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna be the club of the year," and I'm looking at him like, "Are you smoking something? What is going on?" And he's just adamant in his belief. We're gonna be the club of the year. We're gonna be the club of the year. And so finally, I'm thinking, well, I don't know about that, but he sure believes it, so that's fine. We'll go with it. And he's just adamant that that's the way it's going to be. And then all of a sudden it starts happening. Because he refuses to settle for anything else. Okay?
Wow.
Yes?
I'm really excited about
Good.
your presentations, and for a number of reasons. One, I have a child care.
Okay.
And he's fully aware, Jose. What you're sharing is some things that I share with the children in my childcare.
Okay, great.
And
What ages?
all ages.
All right.
Yeah, and we do, but the theme is superhero theme, and so they have to shift into the alter ego, which is a
Nice.
superhero. And
Okay.
so, you know, and then it's also similar to retelling the story. You know, retelling yourself the story. No, that's not what happened. And when we go, you know, so we do a lot of things. So I'm excited about being in your process because it's going to support also more of what I'm doing with my children, helping them.
Awesome.
You know, with that, and then also,
Yeah.
of course, with helping me with where I see myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, accomplishing.
It's really great what you're doing because you know here's the problem that so many kids, you got the same thing, and if you work with children, so many kids are being told a different story. They're being told you're stupid, you won't amount to anything, get out of my face,
Yeah.
all this kind of thing. And so really, I mean, statistics show that by the age 10 or 12 of just somebody will come along and believe in them and get them to believe that they have value.
Absolutely.
Right?
I have a youth program too.
Okay,
We have
great.
speakers that come out like you and they
Uh-huh.
encourage the children, and it's so amazing, the transformation that takes place. So
Absolutely.
With, you know, the similar talks and
Mhm.
getting them to believe in themselves and change their story. And so,
Exactly.
yeah. Thank you.
Well, great.
I'm excited.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Anything else? I know we're like way over.
No, we good. I mean, this is.
We all stay up till 1 a.m., right? That's no big deal. No? No?
And I just want to say, Jose, you had some amazing guests come here, and that's why I keep coming back too, because I keep learning. And it's amazing what, just like this gentleman here, Mr. Lipsett, the salesman, and a guy that came and spoke to the Dodger kids the other day, Mr. Arsenio Pantanelli, he came out and talked to the kids. We had some program, who was that? This 30-year-old guy, I call him a kid, 30-year-old.
Mel.
I went to his seminar, 30 years old, a millionaire, he came from Russia.
Okay.
He didn't have no clothes on his back when he came over here. Poor family from Russia, millionaire, and he helping out people now, and he giving seminars. And I just been asking him, come from right out of here, out of that bag right there.
Out of that bag right there.
You know, he
There you go.
just jumped out of the bag, and there he was, and willing to reach out and help. And a lot of times they say rich people are, you know, snobbish and turn off and all that. No, some of them are the most kindest people that they are.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
reach out and help.
Just depends how they got there, usually, right? When it was handed to them, usually, then they can be snobby, but when they work their way through it, yeah, you're right.
Kids need to know that there's opportunity out here. It's
Absolutely.
the richest country in the world. They don't have to be downtrodden and overlooked and underserved and down, you know, thinking hopelessly. You know, and then a lot of times when you're trying to help them, sometimes their parents will get in the way. They
Yeah.
don't even want them to know. They want them to remain stupid and less than them. That's crazy.
It is sad.
It's unbelievable. But this is the club to be. And then I'm talking.
Got it.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Such a nice day.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gauthier.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.